Okay, so hi, I'm Audrey Sussman from the Anxiety Control Center, and I'm here with my good friend Andrew and colleague Andrew, and we are going to be having an interesting chat about talk therapy, the pros and the cons, and we'll see what we end up talking about. So it should be fun. So Andrew, do you want to give your website or something?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Sartori, and my partner Zach and I have a business called Gay Man Thriving, and we love working with gay men who are stuck in their love life and helping them attract the relationship they've always wanted. And our website's at gaymanthriving.com.
Great. And hopefully, by the time we're done today, people will be calling both of us to get more information on getting free of the blocks that get in their way. So this is going to be fun. So I'm just letting everyone know that we're kind of running this as if we were sitting in each other's living rooms and just having a chat about things that therapists talk about at times when we're not just out having fun doing other things. So today, Andrew and I were talking in the morning about talk therapy. And Andrew, I want to tell you this is a really interesting thing happened. As soon as we got off the phone, I had a client on the other line, and she said to me, it was actually a new client called for a consultation. She wanted to see about working with me. And she said, Audrey, I've been in talk therapy for 10 years. And she said, and I know where all my problems are, and I know I have trauma from my past. And she said, but I think the talk therapy made it worse. And I asked her, do you know what I mean, I know, and you know, I mean, there's a lot of positives, and we'll talk about the positives too. But I said, do you know, have an idea what about talk therapy made it worse? And she did. She listed off the 5 things that are the top reasons that talk therapy. So I could either say them now, what she said, or we can kind of get into what she said later. How would you like to?
Yeah, I would be curious to know what the 5 things she said were, and I know we talked about it this morning, so I'm curious how much those aligned with what we had already talked about.
It was as if we were talking, as if she was listening in to us on our conversation.
Oh, wow.
Um, she said something. I actually wrote it down. So because I said I really want to say her words. So basically, I said when I asked her, "Do you know?" She said, "I think because for 10 years I've been repeating the same traumatic story." And she said, and even though I really love my therapist and my therapist is good, just this constant repeating feels like I've re-traumatized myself for 10 years. And she said she's an actress, and she says it's gotten so bad where she used to be able to go for auditions. Now, it's gotten so horrible that she actually melts down a week before an audition, and she literally can't go to an audition. It's gotten that traumatic.
Hmm.
And so she feels that this repetition, even though it was helpful to talk about it in the beginning, the repetition just re-traumatized her. It's almost like set it into her. She said it like this: "It's almost in my DNA now." And
Right.
whereas it was a number of traumatic events, now it's like across the board. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad she's working with you now to help overcome that a lot more quickly,
Yes.
because that's a challenge I've seen with a lot of clients as well, that they've been in therapy for 8 years, 9 years, and can get so aware of their challenges, but then it also, those challenges become part of their identity by talking about it
Yes.
so much. And it's like, hi, my name's Andrew, and I have this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem, and it's so easy for it to get worse.
Yeah. And like for her, she said she's now more depressed and more anxious. And that's what you're saying is like she's become that instead of getting free of it. And again, she loves her therapist. It's
Hmm.
not that this is a good therapist, but and then the funny thing, she kind of went through the gamut. Then she tried cognitive behavioral therapy. And she said, and I tell myself, look, I'm going to go to the interview. I've done this before. I'm a great actress. I know I'm really good at this. And she said she gets there and she just completely falls apart. She says, no matter how many times she says, it's going to be okay. I know my stuff. It's just not working. And one of the things I said to her is like, it really isn't your fault. You're trying to work on the conscious part of the mind, but it's the programming that is triggering. So I kind of said to her to explain it. It's like I was working on an article in my on my post I was posting on my website, and I like it to look pretty. So I was working on different fonts and I had the whole thing. It takes a while to write an article, but I had the whole thing beautiful. And then I went post, and it's in Times Roman instead of Comic Sans. There's too many spaces between paragraphs. There's spaces between 45 minutes. I kept going in, fixing the article, very patiently fixing it. Post, something else is wrong. Finally, after 45 minutes, I'm ready to tear my hair out. And I call my son and I go, Jake, I've been writing this article for 45 minutes. And every time I post it, I get all this crazy stuff. It's looking horrible. He goes, Mom, did you go into the back end? And in those days, it was a number of years ago. I said, what back end? What are you talking about? He says, the programming, the HTML. I was like, at that time, what's HTML? He said, okay, I'm coming over. He comes over, and I don't think it took him more than 20 seconds. He says, here, this is the code you have to take out. Oh, here's another code. That's what's making the spaces. 20 seconds later, post, it looks beautiful. And when I said to her, you're trying to fix it on the screen of the computer rather than in the memory and the programming. And that's why cognitive therapy wasn't working. It's not her fault. It's in the programming. Does that make sense? Like, is that what you see too?
Absolutely. It's and these things can really help to change the way about thinking about something, but subconsciously, if that programming is in there, so like with your client, for instance, that I get anxiety when I'm going to auditions, or it's not safe to go to auditions anymore. No matter how much positive self-talk or affirmations she gives herself as she's been experiencing it, the problem can still stay there.
Yeah, it's because it's in her. She said it really well. She said, I feel like it's in my very DNA, right to my cells. And in order to, and again, let's say some positive about talk therapy, because there is a place, and cognitive behavioral, there is a place for that. But she's so frustrated after 10 years of talk and then now 2 years of cognitive. And she's so frustrated because she feels like, I've done everything right. I've tried to get rid of this. And now she just feels like it's a fight to even get herself to go for an audition. And she feels like she's wasting her life. And it's creeping in. It's interesting because, you work on relationships. And she said, it's creeping into where she's afraid to even have a relationship because she's feeling so insecure with herself. So it's creeping into all the different areas. So, let's just talk a little bit about the pot. I used to do talk therapy, 28 years ago when I first started. I did talk therapy and I did cognitive behavior. So there's a perfect place for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. What would you say the main benefits of talk therapy or cognitive therapy are?
I think for me, sometimes when you have a therapist who you feel the care, like we talk a lot and like I feel your care all the time, and just that feeling of cared about, it enhances me. And we're just chatting. So like with a good therapist, and you are a good therapist too, but we're just friends. And even when I talk to you and I feel you really get me, and then sometimes you'll say some words and it just clicks in for me. A good therapist, a good talk therapist does the same for their client. It's like, I really get you. I understand you. I understand what you need. And that rapport of being heard, I think, is one of the most positive parts of talk therapy. But after, I would say, a year of talking, that's when it becomes, let's shift to, Like even with me, sometimes my clients will say, Audrey, can we just have a talk session? I'm like, I am a therapist, yes. But I said, but we not after 3 talk sessions, I'm going to push you. So we go underneath and fix the problem, because talking is great and I believe in it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to fix the problem. So that's what I think the most wonderful thing about talk therapy is that rapport you feel, the care you feel, and care is healing. Words are healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think talk therapy is great, and it's good to process with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I just want to disclaim I'm not a therapist myself,
But you feel like
but
one to me, because when you talk, so let's call you a coach, because you coach. When we speak, I come out of it enhanced every time, every single time. And so you are a guy. You could call me, you're a guru to me, or my coach. It's nice to have someone that I can go to, because I help lots of people, and then I come to you, and you're young, and I've been out there 30 years, and yet your words of wisdom always they really hit the spot. So you may not have the what you want to call the credentials for therapy, but you are an amazing life coach. So thanks for clearing that up, because we want to be careful to always
right with.
not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you. I'm really happy to hear that, and the feeling's completely mutual too.
Thanks.
And yeah, so that's another great thing that can happen with talk therapy is new ways of thinking about things, getting awareness of problems or challenges, and but again, one thing we were talking about is it's great to have that awareness, but sometimes being aware of the challenge, but still being stuck in the challenge is even worse, and just staying aware of it and not being able to move past it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you feel so stuck, and you really doing everything and you can't get past it. That's so upsetting, especially because most of the people that we see are like really creative, intelligent people, and like they fix problems, they're successful in life, and then there's something they're stuck in, and it just feels like, give me the answer. Yeah. And as you were talking, I was thinking of cognitive therapy too. A positive of cognitive therapy is sometimes people don't realize the stories they're telling themselves. I had another young woman came in today, as she has test anxiety, and her story was, what she started with the words, what if I don't measure up on this test? And that what if cognitively we can change it to
Mm-hmm.
something that is much more effective, because that's just disabling her and makes her test anxiety that much worse. And once we got her out of that, then I was able to go underneath to the programming level and start fixing that. So, cognitive is good stuff. Cognitive behavioral is like where you change the physical part of the body. So like that we can do, like I call it my touchstone, where we do some sort of a breathing change
Uh-huh.
to let the body know that you're calming down. So there's a place for cognitive and a place for behavioral, but we still need to get to the programming level. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that's Zach and I, we work as a team. So Zach does a lot of the coaching, which is very solution oriented. Like, okay, so yes, this is the story. Sometimes it can be unraveling that story, and sometimes it can be solving challenges to get beyond that story. Taking action, feeling safer to go on dates, or to risk rejection, things like that. And then we've got me on the other side working at the subconscious level. So a lot of times, as you know, trauma happens, and it causes people to not feel safe to be themselves. If say they were 6 years old and made fun of when they sang out loud in class or something. And a lot of times, even in therapy, clients might understand that problem. Like, okay, yeah, I've felt this way since I was a little kid because this happened to me, but the programming is still there, even though they have that understanding. And so with I love that we have the tools to,
The two of you together do all the parts. Yeah.
yeah, to release that trauma from the body, so that it
Yes.
doesn't, because basically it's like the body's feeling it needs to protect itself from getting made fun of again. So, oh, it's not
Yes.
safe to sing out loud in public.
Or
And
even to just
or
speak to a group. Sometimes it comes out in like even other ways, like public speaking, that or flying. I know it's like, what does that have to do with the little six? But it does. It's all connected of not feeling safe. And it's amazing when I, work with people too, we go back and it's amazing how many people will go back to grade school and something happened in school and the teacher even good naturedly laughed. And then the class laughed and the kids like, I never want to feel that pain again. And that decision that it's not safe to talk out in public, that's why we need to go back and take care. It's almost like rescripting
mm-hmm,
that old memory. It's not and then that's not talk therapy. It's not talking the kid out of that fear. And it's also not blaming. It's like sometimes people go like, I can't believe I'm still upset about that. I thought I handled that already. Well, that's like yelling at the little 6-year-old that's still suffering. Instead, we want to give him some tools and just rescript it. And sometimes, like, when I look at you, I'm like, can you imagine if that little 6-year-old had you to go there and be so kind? But we could send the person themselves there to take care. And it's we're just talking it right now, but it really makes. I've had people tell me it feels like a suitcase has been taken off their back when we go back and fix those early traumas and
mm-hmm.
beliefs that get formed from them. And then the filters of how we see the world are formed by those. So you could talk about it forever and the filters haven't changed, even though you know where it came from, right?
Right. Yeah, it's so fascinating, and I'm so glad to have met you and to get to know your work better and to have found this work myself, because I really find that it really is the deepest level of healing, and whether that's overcoming anxiety or self-doubt and relationships, and the deepest level of healing that allows people to really live full, peaceful lives.
Exactly. And it's really nice when you change on that inside level. It's almost like I've I've had people say to me, I had one woman, she came in for sadness, deep, dark sadness, and her child was going to college. And she said, I don't know, I can't deal. And by the time we were finished, she called me after her child went to school and she said, I had tears, but then I was okay. And she's like, how did that happen? It's just her whole, when you fix or you take the string of pearls and let all those sadness pearls, she was only dealing with that one instead of the whole lifetime. So it's I use a lot of hypnotic work, which is, and there's two different kinds of hypnosis too. There's the kind people think of, you are getting sleepy, which is great, and you could make it, but the kind I use is actually regression. And I think you do something where you help a person also to undo those. I think a different kind of technique, though. Correct?
With the clinical EFT, we do go back to the sub. It puts the body in a state of waking hypnosis, and
Yes.
so events from 5, 6, 7, 8 years old can come up, and then we go back, visit it, and make it so it doesn't feel stressful anymore. It sounds kind of. Would that be considered regression?
Well, it's similar. It's very
Similar,
similar.
yeah.
What I would say, it is. If you go back, it's regression. You're taking the emotion out of the event so that you could remember the event, but the emotion's gone. And
Yep.
that's the same kind of thing, yeah. And you said something else, which is really important, especially for anxiety. Waking hypnosis, where a person's in complete control, awake and aware, part of the team, working with me, working with you, and the magic happens in the session. They don't have homework. The magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, I'm different. I'm just different. I'm not having that anxiety. And anxiety causes procrastination. It causes self-doubt. It eats away at, moving forward in life. So when you change that early stuff, it really is life changing. And, it's nice that both of us come at it from similar but different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's great that there's not only one way to do it, which is nice.
Yes.
But I know we veered quite a bit of ways
From talk therapy, as we usually will. That's why I like calling this is a chat. I do another chat with a colleague of mine who's an art therapist, and she calls herself the art doctor, and she uses art to get in touch with so we do chats together that kind of get into the intuitive. So there's so many different modalities, but I think we're all saying the same thing. You have to change from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just dealing with, like I talk about the tip of the iceberg, the symptoms are up there and then they have this huge iceberg. If you just work on the symptoms, like talk therapy or even cognitive therapy, you're not fixing what's underneath.
Right. And one analogy that I thought of is a lot of people are getting into holistic health and functional health, and I'm a huge advocate of that. As you know, I've had a health practice, and so a lot of people are aware of that prescription drugs are often just masking a symptom or kind of being like a Band-Aid on a wound, whereas changing your diet, your sleep habits, your movement is going to help the body more holistically rather than just taking an ibuprofen for less pain and coffee for more energy.
Right.
So I feel like it's almost the same with talk therapy. A lot of times it can be trying to talk out of fear temporarily or feel good about something temporarily, but it doesn't get to the root of what's really causing the fears or anxious habits.
Yes, I agree totally. And it's like a person saying to themselves, I'm not going to get angry when that coworker does that today. And then the coworker does it and is like, bam, right into anger. But I really didn't want to get angry, they say. So, but if you change the inside,
Mm-hmm.
it's all like, oh, okay. It's not a non-caring. It's really just this nice kind of Zen being way to look at the world. And, there's also that part of taking better care of yourself, having the right to not feel guilty by saying no. We work on so many levels together. And yeah, so there, the physical, you were talking about the physical, taking care of the physical body. That's the physical side, the behavioral side. So, and breathing, that's a behavioral. So for me, there's the three parts: the cognitive, like cognitive talking. There's the physical. I have it in a circle. That's why I'm going like this.
Okay.
And then there's the emotional. So like I see it as a circle. And as long as we break the stress pattern in any one of those areas, it stops running. But if you only break it in the cognitive thoughts or in the physical breath, you're not fixing the wound, as you said, the wound that's underneath. It's festering and it's hidden. So fix the wound, and then you don't need the cognitive behavioral because you're already better until someday when something stressful happens or you take on a new challenge. Then you have those techniques that are amazing. I use them myself. I have them in my practice, but once we clean it up, you don't need it. And you were talking about relationship issues. Anxiety gets in the way. Self-confidence. If you don't have that, it's how do you we were talking about how, the more you feel good, the better relating. When you did a whole thing on knowing your desire, your book, your ebook,
Yeah.
I'm feeling desirable. I loved that when I read that. It's like you got right to the point. When we feel good about ourselves, then we could find the right partner. Yeah, I completely, just reminded me about your ebook. It's a great book. If can people pick that up somewhere if they would like to read that?
Yeah, it's we don't have it on our website currently, but it'll be up there soon. But it's the Gay Man's Guide to Love, and I'm gonna make another one that's applicable to all sexualities. But
Good, because my clients would,
yeah.
I have gay clients too, but I have many clients like this woman who I'm going to be working with for anxiety. She wants a relationship, and I was thinking of you. I was like, wow, that would be the next step after her anxiety's gone.
Awesome.
So, yeah, good. Oh,
That's
I'm
great.
so happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some ebooks too on most of mine deal with anxiety and panic. And they're on my anxietycontrolcenter.com and I also have, if anybody who's listening to this would like to kind of get an instant calm, um, on my anxietycontrolcenter.com website, there is a little place where you could sign in, and you'll get a 7-minute video guide for calming the mind and body. And there's a little energy healing at the end. So that's free. It's available. I have all sorts of articles there too. So, it's interesting. I would love to have more of these chats with you. And the way things come up, if people send in questions, we'll do a chat on answering those questions people come up with. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to do that. You're
Great.
such a wealth of knowledge, and in the 7-minute video is great, and you've got so many great articles on your website that you've gotten together. So,
Well, I want to say something funny right now. It's like my website is under construction right now. It's still up. But, I always say to people, do things perfectly imperfect, but get it out there. If you go to my website, you see how perfectly imperfect it is right now. Some of the links are broken, but there's good information. So I don't want to take it down because I want people to get that information. And honestly, if people look at it and go like, oh, it's a little bit of a mess, then that's okay. That's not the person who probably wants to work with me. I'm a little alternative anyway.
right.
So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of good articles that can be gleaned if you can have patience with some of the links that are being fixed at this moment. Yeah. So,
Awesome. Well, this has been a really great talk, and
yeah.
I'm really excited to talk about more things in the future too.
Me too.
Just,
Me too. And for people who want to see this chat, I guess we could put it up on our websites, or would that be where they can find it if they want to
um,
listen to the replay?
yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. I'll send you the video and the audio,
Cool.
and yeah, and then you can put it on your website. I can put it on mine,
Great.
and we can also just. I might send. Yeah, I can send out an email, things like that.
Cool, because I think this was a really interesting topic, and it's so funny that a client, I mean, as I'm hanging up with you after, our little chat, just so people know that Andrew and I are going to check in with each other once a week. It's really a gift to be able to do that, and to have somebody who we talk to, just chatting once a week. So just as we hung up, my client who had 10 years of talk therapy called. So I like, what perfect timing. I have to bring this up when we chat later today. So, yeah, so great. And Andrew, I'll talk to you again next week, and we'll plan another chat soon. Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks for
Sounds
recording
good.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk to you later, Audrey.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.